You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the longest running Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
We're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking to Merkel. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins #1.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Friday, October 17th. I'm your host, Michael Leva, joined as I am each and every week by Doug Lee Durham. Doug, how you doing today?
I'm all right.
Okay, when I ask that question, how you're doing, here's what we got to do from now to the end of the year. Put the football stuff aside and just talk about like life. How's the rest of your life going?
I'm tired. My daughter woke up. I had to paint my new kids' room, who will be here in December. So,
oh my God, that's going to be right before you know it. Jesus.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be even more tired than I was before. So expect me to look worse come the end of December.
You're going to be punch drunk here. Between that and everything going on the field, the Dolphins, you're going to be punch drunk in about a month. But don't worry, I'll do the heavy lifting on these shows. Okay, this show today is brought to you by Caneswear. Everyone go to caneswear.com for the best and most affordable Miami Dolphins apparel. And I know the team's not doing so great. So if you're not up into Miami Dolphins apparel, they got stuff for the Miami Hurricanes who are doing great, your Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, the Heat, the Marlins, and all that good stuff. Caneswear.com. But we are Dolphins fans, and no matter how mad you get, you want that, Christmas is coming up, the holidays are coming up. Caneswear.com. If you're in South Florida, stop by their shop at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. I was there last week. It's awesome. They got so much great stuff. And it's also the most affordable stuff for the Miami Dolphins. Check out Caneswear.com. Also, for those watching on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, as always, and make sure you're signed up for Dolphins Talk Extra, patreon.com/Dolphins Talk, $3 a month. Next Friday, the 24th, we have one of our happy hour shows. Josh, Aaron, myself will be on. You can come on the screen, just like you're watching me and Doug. You can join us on a show, ask about anything you want. It can be about the Dolphins or not if you want to talk about something else. We have a private message board. We give away autographs. Patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. All right, Doug, let's jump into it. The big story of the week is Tua's comments. Let me share real quick how I view this, and I want to get your opinion on this. To me, what he said just really goes to show how fractured this organization is. I think the only one that looks bad out of this is him.
Mm-hmm.
He comes off as tone deaf, lacks any self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And look, I know about the contract. I know that stuff usually finds a way to work itself. I don't know if there's any coming back from this for him in Miami. Now, in a year or two, whenever it is, if he goes to wherever, he can, new locker room, new team, new organization. This will be long forgotten. In Miami, I think what happened Sunday, on top of what's happened recently in the past year with some of his other comments, including one earlier last week, like, hey, I go home to my wife and kids. You guys go screw, pretty much what he said. I don't know if there's any coming back from this. And the fun, quiet quarterback we used to know, he dead. We got asshole Tua now, and this ain't gonna work. What are your thoughts on everything that happened last week with him?
Yeah, he tends to put his foot in his mouth. He does
a lot.
Yeah, he does it like at least 3 times a season, where he comes out and he says something, and you're just like, they got to get a better PR team to like talk to him.
You know what, Doug?
Like,
yes and no. It's not the PR. I think he's really tone deaf and lacks self-awareness. No PR person was probably prepared for him to say what he said on Sunday. It's like, what? Wait, what? He said what? And it's like he caught everyone off guard. Like, you can't get inside his head. I don't think he understands the ramifications of some of the stuff he says, and that's just being tone deaf, and he lacks self-awareness.
Yeah, because it's what I see it as is he's too honest, and he wants to be very candid, and he wants to be very open, so people, and it's too much. He came out in 2020 after his rookie year and said, I didn't know the playbook fully. And, that's something you normally hear from a rookie during COVID, but don't say that. Or, the stuff with Tyreek Hill, just, okay, don't say that. Work on it behind the scenes. And it used to, I think it was 2023. It was team first or put the team first type of motto was this for the season. And now all of a sudden it seemed like it went out the window because everyone's pointing fingers at somebody, whether it's the coaches pointing fingers at the players pointing fingers at the coaches, and then, oh, so-and-so came late. Like Bradley Chubb said, oh, we didn't even,
we lied to you last year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like they're all now kind of throwing each other under the bus, and he needs to be more self-aware, and he needs to, say what Patrick Paul said. Oh, we'll keep that stuff. And now he's saying it, after he
got
now
it's too late. You already got the toothpaste out of the tube. It's too late.
Because he got in trouble. Like, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, he was humbled the other day.
If it wasn't a big deal, he wouldn't have apologized. And and it's not even like he wouldn't apologize, because he still apologized to the players privately. If it wasn't a big deal and people didn't, react the way they did, he wouldn't have had to apologize publicly. So another week being a Dolphin fan.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I wrote an article about this just the other day. He's become unlikable. Like this guy I mean, when he was drafted, people were making videos, it was in the pandemic of them in their basement wearing their pajamas, popping champagne bottles. Like, I've never seen a player get picked who had pretty much at that moment 100% universal fan support from the fan base. And even, yes, he has some people, it's mainly just on Twitter, which is not real life. The majority, like, if you just look at, from a big picture thing, like even heading into this year, this guy had like, 85, 90, 95% fan support from your rank and file fans of the Dolphins, who like are rooting for this guy, think he, if everything around him is right, he can win. Like, he has squandered all of it. I was in South Florida last week. I've never seen more people talk negatively about, and this was before he said the comment after the game, like, screw him, because at the start of the week he's saying things. Well, I go home to my wife and kids. I don't, which everyone knew what he meant. But again, that's everyone. Doug, you have a wife and kids. What's more important, your YouTube channel or your wife and kids? We get it, the wife and kids, but you don't go out there and sort of say it. Put your thumb in the eyes of the fans, like, yeah, we lost, so what? I mean, that's essentially how it came off, and he has squandered some of the most loyal fan support I've ever seen a professional athlete ever had. I've sat here for years and questioned, why do Dolphins fans put this guy on a pedestal? They'll say evil, nasty things about Jesse Davis and other players, but Tua, God forbid you even think he may. If you say he just had a bad play, fans will come down, jump down your throats. Yeah. And it's like, he squandered it all. He's becoming unlikable. He's tough to root for now. And I don't know I don't know how you bring him back next year. I know the contract might mean he might have to be here. Again, if you bring him back, you're going to get a crappy GM and a crappy head coach, because no one who's any good is going to want the job. They're not going to want to be saddled with him. You're not going to be able to sell. It's just 1 year. Just got to put up. They're all going to say no, not doing it, because they're going to want to go somewhere else where they can, have a clean slate and just build it the way they want to build it. Not pretty much say, well, for 1 year, I got to work with my hand tied behind my back because I'm stuck with this guy. No one's good's going to take the job. You're going to get, some horrible coordinator. You're going to get a general manager who's probably way in over his head but if they bring him back, if you think this season's rough, if you think this season's bad, next year's going to be worse. That's all I'm going to tell fans. So if you're one of those fans, they can't cut him, they got to bring him back. Fine. 2026 is going to be worse. And I don't know how much worse it can be than this year. It will be worse because you're forcing him on people who probably don't want him. You're going to get lesser candidates. And this roster is just awful as it is. It might be getting worse, which we're going to talk about soon. So I don't know how you bring him back. I mean, if you do, that tells me this franchise isn't serious about winning.
Yeah. And, it was the same thing I said in Tannehill's 7-year. He's not a bad quarterback. Same thing with Tannehill. I think he's above average, but I think he's not what the Dolphins need, and he won't get the Dolphins where they need to be. I think, he gets traded to another team. I think he's going to be successful, and I think he'll win a playoff game with another team, which will
it
probably
depends
make
what the team is, but yeah.
We'll probably make people laugh hearing that. But yeah, look at Ryan Tannehill and what he did with Tennessee. They actually built the team around him, and everyone likes to say that he needs everything perfect. No, he doesn't need everything perfect. He just doesn't need the worst. the worst offensive line, and at one point he had the worst weapons. And then, you have a injury prone quarterback who's not very mobile. And your thought process as Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel is, you know what we can do? You know how you build around that? Get him weapons and force the ball out quickly. Like, that's not how that works. He needs a run game. You feed off the RPO. You feed off the play action. So they built the team around him poorly. I don't care how, people are going to say, oh, they brought in this guy. They brought bottom 3 in the NFL in spending on offensive linemen, and bottom 3 in the NFL in draft picks on offensive linemen over the past 3 years. Like, it's not how you do it. So at this point in the offseason, you trade them, and it's not about what you get back. It's about what you clear up. So if a team hits you up and says, oh yeah, we'll take on Tannehill, same person. We'll take on Tua, and we'll give you a 7th. I'm like, sure. It's about clearing up that cap space, because you trade Tua, especially post June 1st, you save a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
But if you do it pre June 1st, you save a ton of cap space. You trade Tua, you cut Tyreek Hill, and you cut Bradley Chubb. We have $40 million in cap space that easily. So it's 3 moves. 3 moves you got to do.
I'm with you, and it's so funny because I saw someone on social media the other day talking about, who'd want to this, that, and I started to think, well, like, obviously right now nothing's going to happen clearly, but I'm like, well, people saying the Saints, like, no, the Saints are going to have a top pick. They're going to take their quarterback. They don't want to. They don't want him in his contract. Someone mentioned the Raiders, like, well, they just paid Geno Smith, and they're probably going to have a higher pick if they want to take someone, so they're not interested. The perfect fit for him is the team he can't go to, the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep, because he had to play in Green Bay twice a year. He's got
no, because he can't head there because of Brian Flores.
I don't know if Brian Flores will be there. He might get a head coaching job.
Yes. No, he ain't getting a head coach. No, not as long as that lawsuit's open, Doug. Which is why, look, I understand this lawsuit from his perspective. He wants to prove a point. He thinks he's doing something for the greater good. I get it. Mm-hmm. But they're like, one, at this point, most people have forgotten about it. That's number one. Number two, if he just settles this, he'd probably be a head coach. Yeah, he probably would be a head coach. But it just like, he's not going to be a head coach with that Topper lawsuit, because any team that even, is thinking about it, the phone's going to ring. Hey, what's up? This is Roger Goodell. You ain't hiring that guy. Okay. And that's it. It's over. It's over at that point. It's over. Same thing with John Gruden. I see Dolphins. We need John Gruden. Yeah. You know who's pounding that table first over a year ago? Me. You know why it's not going to happen, though? I'm smart enough to know why it's not going to happen. The guy's a blithering racist. Roger Goodell's going to pick up the phone. You can't hire him. You can't hire him. You can't hire. It's not going to happen. So, but that is the team for him, because J.J. McCarthy's been hurt, and when he has played, he hasn't played so great. Wentz. That's a team I'd probably love to have him, but it's not going to happen. So, once again, that's stuff for way down the road. I'm just saying, if he's back here in 2026, the 2026 Dolphins are going to be worse than 2025, and I don't know how that's possible, because it's going to be more of this crap through January, February, March, April, May, June, July, with a new head coach who's going to be asked every day, how do you handle Tua? How's Tua? I mean, it's going to be constant, and you're never going to get out of this drama.
It's going to be that. It's going to be you taking a quarterback, or, who's starting, and drama.
All right. Well, we got the trade deadline coming up here, November 4th. There's been a lot of rumors about the Dolphins. Let's just take 2 assumptions that I think probably will happen. Chubb is going to be gone, as he should be. 3 ACL injuries. He's under contract next year, but the contract skyrockets to so he's just a rental. So any team who wants him is going to trade for him and then cut him at the end of the year. You get a 6th, 7th round pick for it. I don't think any Dolphins fan would be upset. Move on from him. Jalen Phillips, probably the same way. Final year of his deal. He's younger, but Jalen Phillips isn't going to be traded and sign me to long-term deal. He's going to want to hit the open market at this point and get a ton of money and also handpick a spot. So it's a rental, maybe a 5th, 6th for him. Get maybe a little bit higher because he's a little bit younger. But I think those 2 moves are likely. In my opinion, those are probably going to be the only 2 moves. But there's other rumors out there, including from Connor Hughes of SNY in New York City, talking about Jalen Waddle and the Giants, saying that the Giants want a wide receiver to help Jackson Dart, which makes sense. And also because Neighbors is out for the rest of this year, they want someone to help him for the rest of this year, and also someone to pair with him long-term. Now, here's what I'll say about Waddle, and I want your opinion on this. If I'm the Dolphins, am I openly shopping him? No. But like with Laramie Tunsil, if someone makes me an offer I can't refuse, bye-bye. That's how I feel about Waddle, because we look at this team of the Dolphins right now, October 2025. They're going to go through a massive rebuild like they did in 2019. By the time we are contenders, which the earliest is 2027, you might be looking 2028. Is Waddle going to be a part of that? Probably not. But I'm not looking to trade him either. But if someone comes, well, like, I don't know, a second and a fourth, or like a first and a fifth, like, I have to consider it, Doug. I mean, you gotta.
Him and Achane are names that keep popping up.
I got Achane next. Let's talk about Waddle first.
And I don't see it. They just gave him a contract, and it's a reasonable contract, and it's a contract that, for the amount of play that he does and how good he is, I don't see it happening. But like
Even
you
for
said,
a first round pick, you're saying no?
that's what I'm going. Yeah, if someone
Okay.
offers like a first and a fourth, it's very hard to say no to that. But I don't think anyone's offering a first and a fourth.
I think you're getting a second and something else. I think
Chris Olave is going to be the guy who's really going to be moved, especially with the Saints team, who is really. They have no cap space next year. You thought the Dolphins had no cap space? They have worse cap space than the Miami Dolphins. That's another reason, because when I was looking at who could we trade Tua to, I was like, oh, we can't trade him to the Saints. They have no money. But yeah, no, I don't see. It would take an overpay to get Waddle, in my personal opinion. He's like 26. He's still young, and he has shown that when Tyreek Hill's not on the field, he gets 100+ yards and he gets multiple touchdowns, and he has the ability to be very good. And he's one of those players that you would trade Waddle to try to get a player in Waddle's style. And what's the point of that? So again, unless it's something where it's like if it's a second, they'll probably say no. But if it's a first, I think they say yes. Same thing with Achane, which we'll talk about now.
If it's a first for Waddle, I think you have to say yes. If it's a second, then it becomes second and what's the end? It's like a second and third. Like, oh, okay, now you got my attention. If it's like a second and a fifth, well, then it's no. Because here's the deal: if the offer's good, obviously you have to jump on it. But just know we're going to have a young quarterback soon, like a Jackson Dart, and you're going to want someone like Waddle to help that guy out, whether it's Mendoza or Moore or whoever. We're probably going to have one of these guys. So you're going to need someone like Waddle to help out that young guy and help and how he starts in the league. So that's why my approach is I'm not picking up the phone shopping him, but if the right offer comes in, I'm also not saying no. Yeah. Now, the Achane one is totally different in a lot of ways. And my approach on this is I'm not trading him now, because if I want to trade him, I can trade him in April. And let's see who the general manager and the head coach is. Let them make that call. Because as we know, he's going into the final year of his contract in 2026, which means next August he's going to hold out in camp unless he gets an extension. Well, who's going to be our head coach? Who's going to be our general manager? If it's two people who want him, say, I value the speed and I value everything he brings, they're going to pay him prior to August. And he's going to be part of our long-term plan. So, but if it's someone who says he's too small, I'm not going to commit that much money to a running back at that size. Let's get something for him now. We can trade him just as easily in March and April as we can now. So there's no rush to trade him now. Let's trade him then, if you're going to trade him or pay him, whatever. Let the new people make that call. I'm not touching that one now. That's my approach.
Yeah, to me, it's the same situation that I have with Waddle. You get something that you can't say no to, then sure. But in all honesty, no, he's one of the best all-purpose backs in the NFL right now. And again, like we talk about with Waddle, and you have a young quarterback that will probably need some help. It to me, it's the same situation. So, yeah, no, I'd stick with it, Devon Achane, to be honest with you.
I really do think it's just going to be Chubb and Jalen Phillips, and I think that's it. And we kind of know the players. There was like an ESPN report out last week. It's going to be like San Francisco, Philadelphia, Cowboys, Jacksonville. Those are going to be the players involved here. And it's just, I I know they're late round picks, nothing to get excited about, but we ain't going nowhere. And we ain't going nowhere anytime soon. So you might as well just start to acquire these picks. And remember, a 6th round pick last year was Ollie Gordon. So you can get guys
Yeah.
in those later rounds who can play if you have someone with a brain. So just acquire all the picks and sort of go from there. But I don't think there's going to be like a flurry of moves. I think there'll be 2. And I think those will be the 2. And then for the rest of the year, you got Chop Robinson, who needs to be on the field more anyways. That's a whole nother story. And Matthew Judon, as well as some of the younger kids you can get out there. But yeah, so there's that. Now, before we get to this week's game real quick, mybookie.com. Everyone go to mybookie.com, promo code Dolphins. And for your first sign up, make sure you click the bet back bonus token. So if you lose, it's like it never happened. You get all your money back, up to $500. You can't go nuts and bet like $8,000 here, up to $500. That So if you bet $20 or $100 or $30 or $200, whatever, make sure you click the bet back bonus token. So if you lose, you get your money back. Mybookie.com. Let me tell you now. Last weekend, Doug, I was in Miami, so I was at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. I didn't use my bookie then. I got a gambling story though. So Saturday, we're placing bets. Tom and myself, and I love Texas Tech. For those of you who haven't watched Texas Tech this year, I'm telling you right now, watch their front 7 on defense. It is like the 85 Bears on the college level. I mean, they are unblockable. So I had them in Clemson, a little 2-team parlay, and I also flat bet them each. Grand total, walking away $1,500. I'm walking tall, baby.
Nice.
1,500. Got put half under one shoe, half in the other shoe. I'm walking out of money. It's great. And Sunday, I loved the 2-team parlay. I love the Raiders over the Titans because the Titans are horrible. And I also like the Cowboys and Carolina. Carolina ain't doing this twice in a row. Now, I did the same thing. Flat bet them each, little 2-team parlay. Would have won me another $1,500. The stinking Dallas Cowboys can't beat the Carolina Panthers. Cost me some money there. So it would have been a really good weekend. But if you're not at a casino with a sports book, go to mybookie.com, use the promo code Dolphins, and make sure you click the bet back bonus token. A lot of good games this week. Friday night, you got the University of Miami versus Louisville. That's an interesting game. Could be a slip-up game for the Canes if they're not careful. Then on Sunday, USC Notre Dame, Washington, Michigan. You got Ole Miss, Georgia. That's a big one in the SEC. A lot of great games as well. Mybookie.com. All right. So, Browns Dolphins. 2-part question. Will Quinshon Judkins just run for 200 yards against us? Will Myles Garrett have about 3 or 4 sacks against us this weekend as we play the Browns?
Yes. That's yeah, it's and the weather's going to be horrible. Apparently it's going to be like 20-mile-an-hour winds and 94% chance of rain, and it's not going to be, well, for us it's not going to be cold. It's 65 degrees. So for me and you, that's like, oh, I'm in shorts right now and it's 60 50 something degrees outside.
Yeah, exactly.
But for Miami, it's a bit nippily. This game scares me because like you said, Quinshon Judkins going against the worst running defense. When if you would have told me that at the beginning of the year, I would have been like, come on, we got Sealer, we got Chubb, they're all horrible. It's so bad. So yeah. And then we got Bijan next week, which we'll talk about next week. But
oh my God, he's gonna destroy us.
And then you're facing a defense that is
third overall,
third against the run, third total overall, 7th against the pass. It's like,
it's bad. This is a bad matchup for Miami. I know people see the Browns. Oh, it's the Browns. It's a bad matchup for Miami. I went on a podcast this week in Cleveland, and they're kind of like us. They're down on everything. And they're talking about their offense. They haven't scored has 20 points in a game in over a full year or something. Like, something crazy. 300 in 75 days or something. They haven't scored over 20 points. I'm like, well, that's going to end this week, guys. I go, we are your get right game. That and they're like, no. I go, no. You don't understand. Because they just from afar if you don't follow the Miami Dolphins and you just look at the stats in the box score, you guys are scoring 27, 24, 27. You guys are putting up points. You're just losing. You're not that bad. I'm like, no, not so fast, my friend. You haven't watched the games. We're giving up 7, 8, 9 yards of carries in these games some weeks. You can't stop anybody. I know you guys are not having, a great year, but that young quarterback's going to have his best game so far against us. You're going to run the ball for 6, 7, 8 yards of carry against us. You're going to put up points and move. And on the flip side, our offense, it's not smoke and mirrors because we are moving we go through stretches like the third quarter last week where we do nothing. And against that type of defense, that stretch might be a game. Not like, shake out of it, after one quarter. I go, you guys don't understand the level of bad we are. Plus, I go, you guys are just bad because you don't have talent, lack of execution. We're fighting with each other through the media. We're already so far broken. You guys got this game won, and I don't think they understand that, but they're going to understand it soon.
Yeah, 32nd in the NFL in rush defense, giving up 168.5 yards a game, averaging on the ground. Like, it is just bad. But again, I don't really blame the offense that much because
they're putting up the points. I know.
Yeah, you score 22.3 points a game. You should be winning more than one game a year. You're third in the NFL in third down percentage. You're only turning the ball over 8 times over the past 6 games, which is a little much, but still, it's you should be winning these games. But it's the Chargers game and the Panthers game, and it's all these little things at the end that the offense gets off the field with the lead, and then the defense just crumbles, and it's a problem. And especially in a game where the weather is going to be hot trash, and it's going to be like, all right, who can score and who can run the ball? Doesn't bode well for Miami.
No, it's this ain't going to be good. I look at this guy. Look, let's be honest too. If the Jets, if they didn't have 100 yards and penalties, we would have lost. It came down to an onside kick at the end too. I'm just being honest. Like if they didn't hand us 100 yards and penalties, we'd be winless. And I look at this roster from here on out. See what you want about the Ravens. They're going to be just fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I know they're up to a rough start. They're going to be just fine. Here's the deal with the rest of the schedule on out. Saints and Jets are the only 2 games we have a chance to win. This is a 3-win team max.
Yep.
Max 3-win team. We're not when we play the Bills, we play the Browns, we play Atlanta, when we play Tampa Bay, even Cincinnati with Flacco or Joe Burrow, whoever they got at that time. The Patriots who have the inside track to win the AFC. Have you seen the Patriots schedule?
It's so easy.
It's so easy. They're going to win the AFC East. Saints and Jets are only 2 chances of winning. I'm telling you right now. And the Saints are a spunky bunch. They almost won at the Bills. They're a spunky bunch each week. They're pretty good. Not good, but they put up a fight each week, I should say. And the Jets, they're bound to win a couple here. I actually think they're going to win this week. I might put a few bucks on them. I think they have. Say what you want about the Jets. I know they stink, and I know they have a horrible head coach, and a horrible quarterback. They're in a lot of these games. So if they're plus points, you might as well take the. And this week they're at home. They're bound to win. And plus, if the infighting continues in Miami, I don't care what they say to the microphones, this is going to get a lot uglier before it gets better. But look, we just did a whole show without talking about who's getting fired when, so that's a plus. Everyone, be sure to follow Dougly Do Wrong on YouTube, and also with the Dolphins Collective as well. Follow him on social media at Dougly Do Wrong. It's always fun to watch Doug get annoyed at times. Want to argue with people. I always love it. And sometimes he cracks jokes, which proves just like he's been hanging around me too long. And we might have a reunion soon of our old show, WQAM. I don't know. I got to talk to Zach, see when we're going to do that. And also, you can follow me at Dolphins Talk and check out DolphinsTalk.com. Everyone have a good Friday. Have a good weekend. I'll be back after the game on Sunday with Tom. And as always, that should be an interesting one. Take care, everybody. And we'll talk to you again after a while.